Hi little skeletons, it is Disney Queen Skelly here. So this is a brand new playlist that I actually thought of the other day, and it does come with some rules, so let's kind of start off with the rules here. This is a playlist called For DQS. Now, I'm not saying these videos were made for me, but I follow a lot of people on YouTube. I've subscribed to a lot of people, I've unsubscribed to a lot of people. Just kind of depends on where my mood is. And in fact, I think a few years ago I did the here's my who I'm subscribed to. That list has changed a lot. I'm not going to do an update. I don't know why I made that video. It is never getting remade. So I follow a lot of Disney accounts, horror accounts, and then just miscellaneous things here and there that also involve things like true crime and cooking and things like that. Some of these channels are not exactly horror, Disney, or true crime based or space based. So if I ever find that they post something Disney, horror, true crime, or space, I'm actually going to save it to a playlist and react to it here on the channel. Now, I'm not putting this in the reacting playlist because that has its own set of rules and criteria of people and things that I react to, including channels that I know. So like Cute Baby Boo, Harley, and Fandom Juice, and then also doing the Watch Later playlist on my channel, on my other channel. So that's kind of what this playlist is going to be. I currently have 3 videos saved. We are going to be reacting to one of them today. One I'm going to save for when I do this in daylight because I actually did get a new job recently, and I do plan on filming on my days off when my mom is asleep and hubby is at work. So in the daytime, I will be filming some of the more scarier things that I don't like touching on at night, and I'll leave the more tame things for night filmings. So today we're going to be reacting to a Miss Mojo video that does involve Disney, so let's get into it. Oh, and the other rule is I have to be subscribed and the notification bell has to be on. If the notification bell is not on and someone posts something about Disney, true crime, horror, or space, and I don't have the notification bell on, I do not react to it. So it has to have the notification bell on. It cannot be a channel that is dedicated to Disney, true crime, horror, or space. Those are the 2 rules. So let's get into it. Alright, so this video is called Top 20 Uses of Foreshadowing in Disney Movies. So let's get into it. Let me crank up the volume here real quick. Alright, let's go.
All was well, another day saved, when his cape snagged on a mistletoe.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most shocking and interesting bits of foreshadowing in Disney films. Number 20, An Old Witch, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Look at Disney hitting us with foreshadowing bangers right out of the gate. Serving as the first film in the canon, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs offers up a great bit of foreshadowing at the hands, or rather the mouth, of Grumpy. Snow White pleads with the dwarfs not to send her away, claiming that the queen will kill her. In response, Grumpy calls the latter an old witch.
If you do, she'll kill me.
Kill you? Who will? Yes, who?
My stepmother, the queen.
The queen! What? She's bad. She's fighting thieves. She's an old witch.
For first-time viewers,
I never caught that. Wow, that's some pretty good foreshadowing.
this may have seemed like an offhanded remark about the queen's temperament, but as everyone knows by now, the queen does indeed turn into an old witch after poisoning the apple.
To mix it well. Now, begin thy magic spell.
He may be grumpy.
So, fun fact about that scene. When I was a little kid, we used to have, I don't know if y'all know what these are, but we used to have something called VHSs. We had Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs on a VHS tape. Now, what VHS tapes were, I can't believe I have to explain this because I know some people don't know what those are. VHS tapes were what movies used to come in before streaming and DVDs, which DVDs are still being sold to this day. But when you were done with a movie on a VHS, you had to actually put it back in and rewind it in order to start the tape over. So during this particular movie of Snow White, with the witch's transformation scene, I was about 2 years old. Well, I was young when my parents started me on Disney, but when I was 2 years old, I learned how to use the fast forward button on a VHS remote because I completely hated that scene. Also, at the end of each foreshadowing, I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on how good the foreshadowing was.
He's also very smart. Number 19.
So in terms of that she's an old witch foreshadowing from Grumpy, that was something I had never caught before. And it's clearly something that someone could easily just kind of brush by and forget about because they're all just, making fun of her and like calling her a bunch of names because they hate her. So Grumpy calling her an old witch could have easily passed by someone's, like it could have easily flown over people's heads.
A Mother's Love, Ratatouille. A brilliant movie about art and passion, Ratatouille follows Alfredo Linguini, a garbage boy turned chef who learns the ropes in an esteemed French restaurant. Linguini is taught by Colette Tatou, who serves as the restaurant's roast chef, or rôtisseur. Colette displays an abrasive attitude and tells Linguini that he can't cook like mommy in the kitchen, meaning he has to adopt the timing and exactitude of a professional chef.
What are you doing?
I'm cutting vegetables. I'm cutting the vegetables.
No, you waste energy and time. You think cooking is a cute job, eh? Like mommy in the kitchen?
This brief remark makes an emotional comeback in the film's climax, when Remy makes Anton Ego the titular ratatouille dish. The usually harsh critic is won over by the food, as it reminds him of his mother's home cooking. In other words, Remy saved the restaurant by cooking like mommy in the kitchen.
Nothing less than the finest chef in France. I will be returning to Gusto soon, hungry for more.
That is incredible. So again, something that could have completely gone over people's heads because Colette was just trying to teach Linguini how to be a proper chef. But in the case of food critics will always find, the food, how do I put this in words? Food critics will always know what tastes good because that's their job. They need to know what the best food is, where to go, what restaurants are good. And if there's not love in a dish, it clearly makes a difference. So in this case, Colette and the rest of the people cooking were more like machines kind of before Remy came along. They just wanted to pump the food out, get it out, and preserve Gusteau's image. But even after he passed away, because Gusteau always loved the idea of putting love and attention into his dishes, so when he passed away and Skinner took over, it was an entirely different vibe, an entirely different mood, and clearly everyone, conformed to it. So when you had Linguini who came in with Remy, whose mother had passed away, he was so used to this motherly cooking lifestyle that when he came to such a robotic, everything by the book place, it was very different. And Remy is the same way. He loves passion. He grew up watching Gusteau's cooking until his passing. So he knew all about that motherly love and love that you put in your food. So when Remy took over the food for, to cook for Anton, he knew that motherly love, or the love for food in general, was what would bring Gusteau's previous rating to a higher rating. And I think that foreshadowing is incredible.
Burning Esmeralda, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Based roughly on Victor Hugo's novel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame is, shall we say, one of the darker Disney films. Its story is rooted in themes of tyranny and prejudice, not to mention Judge Claude Frollo is a wicked old man who does some truly messed up things, like burning Esmeralda.
I bet I know where this is going, and I'm going to make a theory before it gets there. The burning is going to be during the song Hellfire when he sees Esmeralda in the fire, right?
At the stake, for instance. This attempt at murder is foreshadowed on not one, but two separate occasions. The lyrics of Hellfire contain a very explicit reference as Frollo sings. Well, it certainly wasn't an empty threat. Later, Frollo chides Quasimodo for helping Esmeralda escape and burns the sculpture he made of her. It's a lot of fiery imagery, and it all pays off in horrifying fashion.
Never you mind, Quasimodo. She'll be out of our lives soon enough. I will free you from her evil spell. She will torment you no longer.
Number 17.
Okay, so obviously I was right about the part in Hellfire. It's been a very long time since I've actually seen The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It is not a movie that I can watch because it is very difficult for me to watch. Something I really need to get over because it is an incredible film. The cinematography is gorgeous, the storyline is dark, and it overall is an incredible movie, and I hate the fact that I have a hard time watching it. But I totally didn't realize that Frollo burned the sculpture that Quasimodo had made of Esmeralda. That was something that I completely forgot about.
Dash's wisdom, The Incredibles. Despite coming off as more of a jock, Dash is one smart cookie. He displays a strong sense of philosophical wit when he's in the car with his mom. When Helen tells him everyone is special, he has this to say.
Which is another way of saying no one is.
This statement is not only wise beyond his years, but it nicely sets up the motive for the movie's antagonist syndrome. He hopes to sell advanced weapons on the market, thereby turning everyone into a superhero.
And when everyone's super, no one will be.
It's a sentiment that closely mirrors Dash's words, and it's a great way of connecting the heroes with the villain, as well as humanizing him to an extent.
That's interesting. Again, something that just completely went over my head. I know Dash kind of has this whole thing of, like, he wants to portray his superpowers, but he can't because, you know, obviously supers are illegal in the world of The Incredibles. So when, you know, Helen says that everyone is special, she's basically, in Dash's eyes, belittling his superpowers. So Syndrome basically took that and he was like, hey, I'm going to make it to where everyone has superpowers, so basically no one is special too. And I really like that connection.
Bruno, Encanto.
I also bet I know where they're going with this, which is in Dolores' part of We Don't Talk About Bruno, where Bruno was in the background of the song, up on the balcony, or the hallway, or whatever the fuck it was.
A family full of people with magical powers, it's difficult to keep secrets. While Bruno is said to have disappeared from the family, Dolores foreshadows his nearby presence on more than one occasion. While singing We Don't Talk About Bruno, she mentions that she
live in fear, Bruno stuttering or stumbling. I can always hear him sort of muttering and mumbling. I associate him with this.
Right here, folks. Right here.
Fallen sand.
She also tells Mirabel that the only ones worried about the magic are her and the rats talking in the walls.
The only one worried about the magic is you. And the rats talking in the walls.
These probably aren't the rats, but Bruno, who we later learn is living in the walls of the house among the rats. Number 15.
So this was kind of obvious, in my opinion, during Encanto. The only one that I didn't really know about was the song portion, and that was brought up to me later, like I think a week or two after Encanto actually came out. Plain Dead, I know exactly which scene they're going to reference. It's in the beginning of the movie when Judy is in that play when she's a little kid, so this one's pretty obvious.
Playing Dead, Zootopia. Talk about foreshadowing. The very beginning of Zootopia sets up the ending, and these bookends provide a beautiful and well-realized structure to the film. The movie opens via flashback, with young Judy performing in her school play. Her character is attacked by a tiger and dies in a rather dramatic fashion.
If this is not My Children, I have failed as a mother.
And death.
While a funny scene in and of itself, it also foreshadows the climax of the film. Nick pretends to go savage and attacks Judy in front of Bellwether. Her acting has clearly improved since she was a child. Well, until it's time to give up the ruse at least.
Blood, 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 and death.
All right, you know you're milking it. Besides, I think we got it. I think we got it.
Number 14, Hector's guitar, Coco.
So my thoughts, yeah, it's obvious.
Disney and Pixar are so good at foreshadowing that they even include examples in minute visual details. Miguel obtains, steals the guitar of famed musician Ernesto de la Cruz.
Our family thinks music is a curse. None of them understand, but I know you would have. You would have told me to follow my heart, to seize my moment.
This guitar is beautifully designed, and the headstock resembles that of a stylized skull. Completing this skull are a set of teeth, one of which is gold. Viewers may notice that Ernesto does not have a gold tooth, but you know who does? Miguel's great-great-grandfather Hector, whom Miguel meets in the land of the dead. We later learn that Ernesto killed Hector and stole his guitar and his songs, meaning that the gold-toothed headstock perfectly matches that of its true owner.
That's my mama Coco. That's my mommy Milda. Is that you?
Number 13.
God damn. I actually totally forgot about that one. I learned that a while ago after, like, years after watching Coco. And that whole gold tooth thing. Like, basically, if you paid attention, it would have been given right away, but clearly even the small things can go over people's head like that. I don't know if I had made this announcement yet, but Coco has officially taken first place as my favorite Pixar movie behind A Bug's Life, mainly because I find myself getting more emotionally attached to the movie Coco than I do with A Bug's Life, and that emotion always sticks with me no matter how many times I watch it. So that enough said.
Prince Naveen's transformation, The Princess and the Frog. Disney is weirdly unapologetic about turning characters into animals. In this case, it's poor Prince Naveen, who's turned into the titular frog. This transformation is repeatedly foreshadowed in the gleefully ominous Friends on the Other Side sequence.
I got voodoo, I got voodoo, I got things I ain't even tried. And I got friends on the other side. He's got friends on the other side.
For one, on the back of Facilier's tarot deck, there's a frog motif in the corners. For another, Prince Naveen's future card shows a prince lying on a pile of money, in the shape of a lily pad. Facilier also references the transformation in his lyrics, telling Naveen, "You just want to be free, hop from place to place, but freedom takes green." And,
It's the green, it's the green, it's the green you need. And when I look into the future, it's the green that I see.
the green is understood to reference money, but the double entendre is clear after you know what happens. Number 12.
But then also, if you think about it, first of all, that's incredible. I never put that together. The cards, I understood like the green thing, because I mean like green frog, two and two together, anywho. But Facilier, if you really think about it, again with the double entendre, he wasn't wrong, because Naveen eventually does marry Tiana, and they have a very, very successful restaurant. Kind of goes both ways.
Gaston's cheap shots, Beauty and the Beast. Gaston certainly has an ego, but seriously, who boasts about taking cheap shots? In the song Gaston Reprise, Gaston and LeFou plot the imprisonment of Belle's father, Maurice. This reprise carries a much bleaker tone than the original song. While that one was full of harmless boasts, this one is far darker, with lyrics like,
Like Gaston takes cheap shots, like Gaston.
Let's do persecute harmless crackpots like Gaston.
The former is particularly important, as it foreshadows the climactic battle between Gaston and the Beast. Gaston takes the cheapest of cheap shots, stabbing the Beast in the side while his back is turned. That arrow to the back in the castle was also pretty cheap. 2 for 2, Gaston.
Yeah, those were some pretty cheap shots. Cowardly shots, to say the least. And yet Gaston is my second favorite movie character. Or second favorite Disney villain. Words are a jumble. Anyway, let's continue.
Then, Marlin meets a turtle, Finding Nemo. Pixar has released some bangers throughout the years, but Finding Nemo is on another level. It's a tight and brilliantly executed script that contains some great bits of foreshadowing. On the first day of school, Nemo asks his dad if he's ever met a shark. His reply is no, and that he doesn't plan on it.
Dad, maybe while I'm at school, I'll see a shark.
I highly doubt that.
Have you ever met a shark?
No, and I don't plan to.
Well, that doesn't exactly last for long, does it?
In my time, I have to find my son.
Hello?
Nemo's follow-up question is about how old sea turtles are. Marlin sarcastically answers that he'll ask one. Wouldn't you know it, he later meets a sea turtle named Crush, and after hitching a ride, asks him his age.
Oh, Nemo would have loved this.
Oh, hey, Crush! Crush, I forgot! How old are you? 150, dude! And still young!
It's too bad Nemo didn't also ask him about winning the deep-sea lottery that morning. Number 10.
That is such a cute foreshadowing. I mean, honestly, if you watch the movie nowadays, you clearly know that that's foreshadowing to the adventure that Marlin takes throughout Finding Nemo.
Banishment and the Abominable Snowman, Monsters, Inc.
It's too late! We're banished, genius! We're in the human world!
Monsters, Inc. is full of, well, monsters, and the legendary Abominable Snowman is one of them. But before he tries to charm the protagonists with his yellow snow cones, he's actually mentioned by Mike.
Just think about a few names, will you? Loch Ness, Bigfoot, the Abominable Snowman. They all got one thing in common, pal. Banishment.
While Mike and Sully are sneaking Boo into the factory, Mike lists off some banished monsters, including the snowman, and declares that they could be next. Later in the movie, Mike and Sully are indeed banished by Waternoose, and the two meet up with none other than the abominable snowman.
Yeah, take my buddy Bigfoot. When he was banished, he fashioned an enormous diaper out of poison ivy. Wore it on his head like a tiara. Called himself King Itchy.
It's not only a cute little instance of foreshadowing, but a clue that the snowman may have once been an employee at Monsters, Inc.
I'll have you know tampering with the mail is a crime punishable by banishment. Yes, sir.
We're right on it, Mr. Snowman.
So then begs the question, why did the snowman tamper with the mail? That's a big question for us, Pixar enthusiasts over here.
Fine, you're a beast. Brave.
You're never there for me. This whole marriage is what you want. Do you ever bother to ask what I want?
There are actually two scenes that foreshadow the exact same plot point. In the opening scene, Meredith's mother Eleanor chases the young Merida and declares that she's going to eat her like some kind of dangerous creature.
I'm going to gobble her up when I find her. To eat you.
Later in the movie, when Merida's all grown up, she calls Eleanor a beast during a heated argument.
You're acting like a child.
And you're a beast. That's what you are.
She had no idea how right she was about to be. Following the argument, Merida is given a spell by a witch and in turn gives it to Eleanor, turning her into a bear. And while she originally retains some semblance of humanity, she slowly transitions into a violent beast throughout the movie.
Don't hurt her!
Number 8.
Wasn't there also another one like in the title for Brave that like her mom would be turned into a bear or something? I feel like I remember reading that somewhere. But yeah, I mean the whole beast thing, and in the beginning when Eleanor goes to like gobble, Merida up. That could be like small foreshadowing of, Eleanor turning into a bear, which is, I guess, interesting to kind of put it in that way. But I think the best one, if I do remember the one correctly, is the one in the title, Brave. You can see the foreshadowing there too.
Talent, Coco.
I hoped you would.
My boy, with a talent like yours, how could I not listen?
If we would have listened to Hector from the beginning, we would have found out exactly who Ernesto de la Cruz is. At one point in the Land of the Dead, Hector tells Miguel that he taught Ernesto everything he knows.
You told me you hated musicians. You never said you were one.
How do you think I knew your great-great-grandpa? We used to play music together. Taught him everything he knows.
Later, he states that while Ernesto's songs are pretty good, Ernesto himself is of little talent.
The greatest musician of all time?
You're funny. Greatest eyebrows of all time, maybe, but his music? Not so much.
You don't know what you're talking about.
This may seem like the ramblings of a jealous bandmate until Miguel learns the truth.
Hector, please.
Those were my songs you took. My songs that made you famous.
What?
Hector is actually the genius behind the songs, and Ernesto murdered him and passed the songs off as his own. Turns out that Hector truly did teach Ernesto everything he knows, except for, presumably, cold, hard murder. Number 7.
That would be considered foreshadowing? I think that would just be Hector just being honest about Ernesto's work. I guess you can kind of say it's foreshadowing because Ernesto eventually is caught that he didn't write any of the music and that Hector... Okay, I guess you can see it like this. Yes, it is foreshadowing because Ernesto did not write any of those songs. Hector wrote all the songs. But I think that can kind of be tied into the whole Hector is Miguel's great-great-grandfather, because not only is the tooth a reference, but the fact that Hector taught Ernesto everything and he left his little girl behind. I think that all just kind of, at least in my eyes, it kind of just ties into one big thing, like one big foreshadowing thing. You can correct me in the comments, that's just how I feel.
Smoke wolves, Pocahontas.
Prowl the earth like ravenous wolves, consuming everything in their path.
Even Disney's magnificent visual imagery contains deeper meanings. Near the beginning of Pocahontas, Encanto warns the village about the coming settlers.
These are not men like us. A strange beasts with bodies that shine like the sun.
During his speech, he waves his staff over the fire and creates some smoke wolves who in turn surround Cocoam. They then rush towards the Powhatan chief before dissipating. Using the wolves as a metaphor for the settlers, the scene foreshadows the fate of two of its characters. By enveloping Cocoam, the scene signifies his eventual death at the hands of Thomas. By nearly attacking the Powhatan chief but dissipating before the consumption, the scene foreshadows his near death at the hands of Ratcliffe. Number 6.
It's been such a long time since I've actually seen Pocahontas. Again, another movie that I have a very hard time watching. And now I'm just kind of not watching it, mainly because I can't see Pocahontas the same anymore. Her actress was arrested, I think, either last year, for assault charges. I think she was released, but it just kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I do want to give Pocahontas another chance because it's been a very long time since I've seen it, and I kind of want to watch it as an adult just to see what I maybe missed as a child. So that's kind of something I do want to do, along with like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, just really getting myself used to those movies again, because cinematically they're beautiful. Story-wise, they're beautiful, even though their original stories are either dark or very inaccurate. And the music is incredible too. I have the songs in my car from both movies, so I kind of have to, at least try one more time, right?
Will set on my time here, The Lion King.
So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
During the scene in which Mufasa and Simba gaze out over the wonderful landscape, Mufasa tells Simba that the sun will eventually set on his reign and will rise with Simba's.
A king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun. One day, Simba, the sun will set on my time here and will rise with you as the new king.
This initially seems like beautiful symbolic language, and it certainly is. But there's also a little more going on here. Simba finds Mufasa's body near sundown, signifying the setting of his reign.
We gotta go home.
At the end of the movie, Simba takes his mantle on Pride Rock at sunrise, and we then see the scene transition from night to day. The sun has officially risen on Simba's reign, just as Mufasa predicted.
Okay, like we've been saying, it's just kind of pretty obvious, and not obvious, but it's very apparent when, you bring it up. I'm so sorry. To that one, I kind of wasn't paying attention. My mind was elsewhere for like 5 seconds. In editing, I'm pretty sure I'll be like, hey, that's a good theory. Good foreshadowing. Let's move on. I'm actually paying attention this time. I'm so sorry.
King Candy's true nature. Wreck-It Ralph.
I forbid you to cross that finish line!
Near the end of Wreck-It Ralph, Vanellope's glitching reveals that King Candy is actually Turbo, a rogue character who abandoned his arcade game.
I'm Turbo, the greatest racer ever!
However, the true nature of King Candy was foreshadowed many times throughout the movie. Near the beginning, an avatar of Vanellope can be seen on the side of Sugar Rush riding the king's cart, signifying her true role as the main character. His age also signifies that he doesn't belong in the game, as he's much older than the other racers.
And thank you to today's avatars. It was a wonderful day of racing.
Finally, Ralph comments on Candy's unmanly pink palace, once again showcasing that it doesn't actually belong to Candy, but to Princess Vanellope.
So you're a fan of pink?
Salmon, that's obviously salmon. What are you doing here?
Number 4.
Yes, the Vanellope thing in the poster. Clearly, she was meant to be in the game, and she is driving his car, so that does foreshadow that she is the princess. In terms of his age, I didn't really catch that. I didn't really think it was a big thing for his age to kind of be like, oh, he's so much older than the other racers, when in my mind it was just, oh, royalty, he's older because he's signifying an older king with a lot more experience. And then the palace is pink thing instead of a manly colors. I mean, it didn't really come across that way. At least to me, it didn't really matter. Not to say that I'm not trying to do the whole, oh, men can do pink. Like, that's not what I'm trying to get here. Like, even if he was ruling, you know, and he was initially supposed to be in the game, my thought would be that, if anything, the palace might have been, like, white with gold trim or something. But even then, if he didn't really take the time to, you know, fight for the color, I don't think he really cared, and I don't think it really should have mattered anyway. But anyway, I'm digging way too into this. Let's continue.
Doug's phone number, Zootopia.
Hey, sheep never let me get this close.
You can't just touch a sheep's wool.
It's like cotton candy.
Zootopia is absolutely littered with foreshadowing, but perhaps the best and most subtle instance of all is Doug's well-hidden phone number.
Well, this is so exciting, actually. I mean, well, you know, I never get to do anything this important.
While Judy and Nick are using Assistant Mayor Bellwether to locate Manchus, you can briefly see a post-it note on her desk with the name Doug and a phone number written on it. Doug, if you don't remember the name, is the chemist and sniper Bellwether employs to turn the predators of Zootopia savage.
Yeah, it looks like old Doug's cornered the market on night howlers.
Later, when Judy and Nick are in his lab, we even see him take a call from Bellwether informing him of his next target.
What's the mark? Cheetah and Sahara Square. Got it. Serious? Yeah, I know they're fast. I can hit them.
Clearly, she had that post-it handy. Right.
Get them.
That was an incredible foreshadowing. Props to you, Pixar. I'll give it to you for that one.
3. Edna doesn't do capes. The Incredibles.
I see. This is a hobo suit, darling. You can't be seen in this. I won't allow it.
While Edna is creating Mr. Incredible's new suit, she tells him that she doesn't make capes, and lists various superheroes who were thwarted by theirs.
Oh, the cape and the boots.
No capes.
Isn't that my decision?
Do you remember Thunderhead?
Thunderhead's cape was caught on a missile, while others were sucked into a vortex or caught on an elevator. But perhaps the scariest story she tells is of a superhero who was sucked into a jet turbine.
Ratatouille, April 23rd, 57. Cape caught in a jet turbine.
You can't generalize.
In the climax of the movie, Syndrome's cape is caught in such a turbine, and he's subsequently sucked in and shredded. Turns out that Edna was right not to give Mr. Incredible a cape.
Knock it!
Okay, I actually didn't put that one together. Again, props to you, Pixar. Very good job. And clearly, Edna didn't make his suit either.
The Landfill, Toy Story 2, and Toy Story 3.
I don't think that's daylight.
The furnace scene in Toy Story 3 is undoubtedly one of the most dramatic scenes of any animated movie.
Not of any animated movie, but I'd say any Pixar movie.
If only we had some sort of warning so we could brace ourselves. Oh wait, there was. In Toy Story 2, Stinky Pete tells the toys that they will eventually be forgotten and rot in a landfill.
Idiots! Children destroy toys! You'll all be ruined! Forgotten! Spending eternity rotting in some landfill!
I hate the fact that that's also the voice of Sideshow Bob, one of my favorite characters from The Simpsons. Dang it. And I also find Sideshow Bob so attractive.
Toy Story 3, the toys are indeed forgotten by Andy and taken to a daycare, where they in turn make their way to a landfill and are almost turned into burnt debris. We can't say that the writers intended the story to go in this direction all along, but that is still one fine piece of continuity. Before we continue,
and when I tell you that my mom and I were sobbing while watching this, in Hawaii, I will add, and we were also just completely, like, shaken. Yeah, that, oh my god, that scene was intense. I'm also gonna skip ahead of this part of Watch Mojo.
If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Love is an Open Door, Frozen.
Okay, can I just say something crazy?
I love crazy.
Love is an Open Door is chock full of foreshadowing. When Hans sings,
I've been searching my whole life to find my own place.
he signals towards the kingdom, a subtle nod to his true intentions. There's also the line, "You and I were just meant to be," wherein Anna is made into the pronoun on both occasions, signifying her unrequited love. There's also the line,
Say goodbye to the pain of the past.
which applies to both Anna and Hans. Finally, there's the ending where Anna makes the base of the heart and Hans follows, almost as if he's one step behind and trying to keep up with the lovey-dovey charade.
You won't get away with this.
I already have.
Did you catch any of these
Okay, that you and I part I never caught. Holy crap. Okay, that's incredible. As Incredibles is in there. Okay, so that is it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you knew about any of these foreshadowings before we watch this, let me know in the comment section down below. Or if you know of any others that weren't covered in this one, please let me know about them in the comment section down below as well. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, little skeletons. Please stay safe. I love you guys.